realize I was supposed to pick a theme too. So if I had to pick a theme, I guess my theme would be that I am a ridiculous human being. So I'm going to tell you about this thing I have, this nervous system thing, okay? And it's not an actual medical condition, and it's not anything that has long-term negative effects, as far as I can tell. But when my body is under some acute distress, I have this thing that happens to me. And so just as a warning, I'm going to kind of give an imitation of what happens. And I don't want you to think that when I do this, that I am making fun of people with mental or physical disabilities, okay? Because I am not. What I am going to show you is exactly what happens to my body when this thing occurs, okay? So the first time this happens, picture it. It's 1999, and I'm an intern/slave at the New York Aquarium, okay? And part of my job at the New York Aquarium is to run the music for the Dawfin show, okay? And so I'm up in this little booth at the top of the stadium, and it's my job to, turn the music up and down and change the track at the appropriate time when the dolphins are jumping and flipping and everything. Anyway, so one day I'm doing this, and I start to feel sick, okay? Like I'm gonna throw up. And this is really not an ideal place to be sick, okay? First of all, I'm obviously gonna screw the music up if I'm vomiting in the corner. Also, it's a little booth that's filled with sound equipment. It's probably not gonna take that well to puking, right? So my only option is to go outside of the booth, which I could do. I could have gone over the side of the stadium and gone over puked over the balcony. That was the sea lion pen. I'm sure they would have happily eaten my vomit, but I would have also clearly disrupted the show, right? Because there's like 300 people in the stadium and the booth is at the top, and some woman yakking her brains over the side would certainly stop it. And so for the first time in my life, I will myself to not throw up, okay? And if you've never done this before, it is in fact possible to do it, to will yourself to not puke, right? Because I had no options. And so I do this, much to my surprise. But it comes with a cost, okay? Because as I'm doing this, I notice that, my tongue's going kind of numb. And then my fingers start to curl into this position like this. And then my arms come up into this position, okay? And I'm still in the booth, and the Dawfin show is going on, right? And I'm like, what the hell is happening to me, okay? So I'm kind of, I'm pressing the dials and sliding them up and down to keep the music going. And finally I get through the show like this, and it's kind of releasing. It goes away sort of eventually, and I get down and, because I'm a slave, I have to ask permission to go to the bathroom, and I say, I don't want to the bathroom, And they say, okay, So that's the first time I'll tell you about 3 times this happened to me. The second time is a year later. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm a bat biologist. And so this was my first summer ever in the field, chasing bats around all summer. And one thing we would do was we would put little radio tags on the bats. And we use those to track them with some antennas to find where they're living during the day, right? So we were having trouble finding some bats, and so we chartered a small plane. Okay, like a 3-seater plane. It was kind of cool. You just tape the antennas to the wings and turn it into a big antenna and go up and try to find where the bats are. So now I'm 20 years old. I'm super excited. It's me and this other woman who's doing the research going up in the plane. My excitement was quickly tempered by the fact that we were doing a lot of vertical movement during the flight, okay? First of all, there's a storm coming in, right? And then also, the nature of this is that we'd be like, oh, we hear the bat. And then we would circle the plane down to try to get a better read on where the bat was, right? So I began again to feel very sick. And the only thing that I could do if I was gonna puke was puke in my shirt, okay? That was the only option. It was a super small plane, right? So for the second time in my life, I will myself not to vomit. And the same thing happens. Up come the hands into this position. My tongue goes numb. And my friend Melissa, who was the other researcher, looks from the front seat into the back seat. And I'm like, and she says to the pilot, we need to land now. So we land, and as we're coming down, the grip comes down and it goes away, right? So the third time I'll tell you is about 7 years later. I've just finished my PhD, and I decide that I'm going to celebrate this momentous occasion in my life by getting a tattoo of a bat on my shoulder, right? So I go and I get the tattoo, right? It's a small tattoo, so it only took like half an hour for the guy to do. But as I finish, the guy's like, okay, you're done. You can look at it if you want. And like an idiot, I jump up. I'm like, I want to see it in the mirror, you know? Not realizing, again, now it's not that I have to will myself not to vomit, but for the last 30 minutes, my body has felt that it's under attack, okay? There's like needles being put in my skin for 30 minutes, and so I jump up and I start to feel it happen again, because now I know the sensation that comes beforehand. And I had a friend with me, and I was like, get me a drink, you know, go get me a soda, you know? And she comes back, and I'm laying down, and the tattoo artist is kind of freaking out, you know? He's like, what's wrong with you? And at this point, I've already gone into this, right? And so I'm just like, it's okay. This has happened before. Like, during the Dawfin show, you know? Dawfin. And that's my story. There's no moral to that story. Thank you.